Anyone? What is wrong with this?
Manufacture dates in the future.
Thank you very much. So imagine the root shock you'll get when you see the manufacturing date. You're in 2015 and the manufacturing date is already saying what? 2016. Counterfeit medication is a problem not just in Africa, everywhere, but more in Africa. Because while the rest of the world is battling with about 1% to 10%, Africa is scourged with about 30% of counterfeit medication in circulation. And the problem is, so now when you go into the pharmacy, it's a game of Russian roulette. You don't know what you're picking. Is it real? Is it fake? Has it been stored correctly? So is it the problem of weak policy implementation, corruption, poor leadership worsens every problem you can think of in Africa, and counterfeit drug is no exception. So the pharmaceutical industry in Africa is very robust. For instance, in 2003, the market size was about 4.7 billion US dollars. By 2011, it was 20.8 billion US dollars, and still projected to grow up to 11% in about 5 years. So it's huge. But guess what? 30% of the drugs in circulation is fake. Imagine the market share is stealing. Can we relate to what I'm trying to say? So now, over 200,000 persons die every year, according to WHO, due to fake antimalarial or anti-tuberculosis medication in Africa. Now let's come to Nigeria. Let's use Nigeria as a case study. In Nigeria, the menace of counterfeit drug was so bad that at a point, over 65% of the medications were counterfeit. Can you even begin to imagine the implication, the huge public health implication, the economic implication of this, counterfeit medication at such magnitude, right? And in one case, in 1989, thank God I wasn't born then, over 150 babies died due to taking, paracetamol syrup containing diethylene glycol. 150 babies died because there was really no regulatory body at that time to take care of things, so as to say. And that led to the creation of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control in 1992. But it wasn't really that effective because even as at the time it was created, up to 2001, counterfeit medication in Nigeria was still over 65%. So it's not even a game of Russian roulette. It's not 50-50. It's 65-35, right? So throughout the history of NAFDAC, two people made the most radical changes in terms of leadership of the NAFDAC. And one of them is my role model, Professor Dora Akonyele. She came into NAFDAC in 2001, and by 2004, she was able to, implement and bring up new policies that resulted in counterfeit medication going from 65% to 16%. Amazing, right? Yes. And it didn't come without a cost. I'm just going to fast forward this and show you the many faces of Dora Akonyele. You see how resilient from the pictures, you see the kind of person she is, relentless. At even a cost to her own life, she fought because she knew the implication of fake medication at such magnitude. In any magnitude, actually, but the implication is even worse than we can imagine. And so, several attempts were made on her life, but she was relentless. Now, the second person is Dr. Paul Ohi, and he was able to achieve a reduction in fake pharmaceuticals during his tenure from 16%, because he came in directly after Professor Akonyele. From 16%, he was able to work towards making it 3.6%. Up until 2015, counterfeit medication in Nigeria was 3.6%. Amazing, right? Now let's look at the video and see how he was able to achieve this.
Also, these dangerous drugs. firsthand the growing problem of counterfeit drugs.
It's clear that Africa seems to be a dumping ground for these types of fake medicines, and it's killing a lot of people. And I think it's been a bit of a blind spot for the international community.
It's a threat that requires multiple plans of attack. NAFDAC is testing another new technology that utilizes cell phones and SMS messaging. Some diabetes medication sold in Nigeria now comes with a small scratch-off number. Customers send the number and a text message to the manufacturer and receive back an alert letting them know if the medicine is authentic or not.
All what you see here is just a fraction of what we have actually intercepted, because we routinely destroy every other month. We do destruction exercise.
But this is one container NAFDAC and RHE are holding on to for evidence. They received a tip that it was not boxes of packing tape as listed on the manifest. It actually contained boxes of fake antimalarial drugs. The United Nations estimates that 45 million doses of fake antimalarial drugs have been sold in West Africa with a value of $438 million. Fakes like these have particularly dangerous consequences. If the medicine has even a low dosage, the malaria parasite can build up a resistance, making the real drugs ineffective.
We are at threat of losing our frontline first-course drugs for a disease that kills over 1 million people a year. And so that's very dangerous. It's global. It impacts all of us. We've had malaria in the United States up until, well, just probably, 60 years ago. There's no reason it couldn't come back.
If drugs' effectiveness keep being cut by diluted or fake drugs, completely fake drugs, then we lose our first line of defenses.
That's right. That's right. So one person's fake drug becomes somebody else's drug-resistant disease. And we see that on the rise. And it's very frightening.
Bustling, crowded markets like these are found all across Africa. This is where most Nigerians go to buy everything they need, including their medicine. Stalls sell everything from cough syrup to life-saving medicine, and they are not well regulated. He wanted to show us a spot inspection of the pharmacies in Idamoto Market. We quickly learned that inspection requires aggressive, quick action, and not everyone was happy to see the inspectors or our cameras. 6 different teams spread out across the markets this day to test a list of drugs most often counterfeit. At our first stop, all 3 samples passed.
With this equipment, we can, within an hour, test almost all the medicines here.
It wasn't long before they found a suspect medicine. A box of pills with a familiar name and manufacturer. These boxes supposedly come from the American pharmaceutical giant Pfizer.
This is an antihypertensive drug for the treatment of hypertension, made by Pfizer.
And the packaging looks good.
And people counterfeit all sorts of medicines.
But let's see if this passes. Oh, failed.
We'll take it to the laboratory and double check too.
Right.
But in meanwhile, we're going to place it on hold. All this one, we're going to place it on hold. You cannot say this one.
And in the third shot, the same drug, Norvasc, failed the TrueScan test again.
Oh, it failed.
Or he explained that the drug supply chain in Nigeria is as tangled and confusing as the streets in the market. Oftentimes, the small pharmacists are unknowingly pushing fake medicine.
Is that this was just an average day in Lagos, in an average market, and you can walk into one of these stalls and find fake drugs on the shelves. And that's life and death. And it's not just Nigeria's problem, but it's really becoming the world's problem, because these drugs are not manufactured in large measure right here in Nigeria. But as you follow it up the food chain, you realize that we're all becoming more vulnerable.
Well, let's see if this passes.
Listen.
We are at threat of losing our frontline first course chain. You realize that we're all becoming more vulnerable.
Okay, got that. So we saw the video, right? And at least we can relate with what we saw from the video. So some of the things he did was to empower the patient to be able to, fight also in the war against counterfeit medication through the scourged technology. That's what you see them texting the manufacturer on the phone. They get an instant reply if it's original or if it's fake. But in that aspect, I think what can also be done is to inform patients that they can actually report. It's not just to walk off from the pharmacy, oh, it's fake, I'm not buying. They can make reports. I think that's something that is missing in Nigeria, having worked in the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria. We also see the true scan is a spectrometer that you can use to instantly detect fake medication. And of course, it's followed up by multiple tests in the laboratory. So let us look at the implication of fake medication. Aside from the huge public health implication, the cost. Because most times they are smuggled, as we saw. They are smuggled. That means government loses out on taxation that could have come, income that could have come from taxes or tariffs, right? And then, it discourages brands. Like you see Pfizer medication, a lot of Pfizer medication limitation are in Nigeria a lot. So what happens to Pfizer? Like, they're not making enough profit that they should make. So what happens? They probably withdraw, and then more influx of counterfeit drug or Pfizer happens. So we'll see how it impacts market access. And furthermore, we can see that it leads to loss of job opportunities for individuals. Now let's even forget about all that. What of the trust our patients have in us? You give them this medication as a medical doctor, or if someone comes to your pharmacy and is like, okay, yeah, this is good. What, they might not come back. They're going to say that pharmacy sells fake medicine. No go deal. They sell fake medicine. That's it. So you're losing business. You're losing the confidence the patient has in you. And okay, what if you even sell original medication, but the person has been taking fake anti-infective? What happens? Your original drug is probably useless at that point for the patient. And then they think, oh, it's fake. Everything is fake. So it's really a vicious cycle. That means we need to do something about it. And it's not just a one-off thing. As you can see, it's a global war. It's not just in Nigeria. It's here in the US. It's present with us, right? So it's a chronic problem. It's just like diabetes. It's not a one-off thing. We have to do what? Continuous management of the situation. It's a continuous war. It's probably not going to stop now, but we have to keep doing what we need to do. So, in conclusion, I would say counterfeit drug. What do we have to gain in counterfeit drug? Nothing. We have nothing to gain. We have everything to lose. Why? Because counterfeit drug takes. All it does is take, right? It takes life. It takes public health. It takes people's money for no value in return. It takes away the trust our patients have in us. It takes away our businesses. It steals, it grabs the market share of original, pharmaceuticals. Counterfeit drugs and all those who make a business of it, they're like a hydra-headed monster. They must be fought fiercely, swiftly, consistently, on all fronts. It's not just a third world problem. Whether you're in the first world, third world, second, fifth world, wherever you are, right? The problem of counterfeit medication is present with us. It is a fact. It cannot be wished away. So that means we have no choice than to join hands, to fight counterfeit medication. As a pharmacist, jealousy protect the supply chain, right? Don't just because, oh, it's scarce, let me get a quick, because at the long run, it's like shooting yourself in the foot. Empower your patient, teach them. Teach them to be watchdogs, to be vigilantes. If they spot fake medication, let them report. Empower them to do that. And as a pharmacist, naturally, it should come to you to report to the right agency. Don't just stop patronizing whatever supplier it is. Make sure that they have to face the law, right? And then pharmacists also have to involve themselves in policy making and regulation and implementation. So this war is something that really we all should join our hands wherever we are to fight against counterfeit medication. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to just fold my hand and watch why counterfeit medication takes everything that we work so hard for. I don't know about you, but I'm going to join in the war against counterfeit medication. What are you going to do? Are you going to join this war or what? Thank you.